Today's show is sponsored by ExpressVPN. My savvy fans secured their internet. Join them at expressvpn.com/yang. I am very confident that Joe's going to win this thing. I'm not sure if it's going to be Tuesday night reporting style, but I'm very confident that he's going to win this thing if votes are counted and the process holds up. There is a real chance that there's a blue wave all around the country. I genuinely think that in a time when 72 to 80% of Americans think this is the worst time in their lifetimes, that's not like an incumbent type atmosphere, right. Especially when this incumbent does not seem like the guy who's going to lead you out.
Right.
So I think there's going to be a blue wave. I think the Democratic majority in the House is going to grow. The Senate's going to flip. There's going to be a unified government. That's the way I think this is going to go.
Tomorrow is the day, Andrew. Tomorrow's the day.
This is the special Election Day Eve edition of Yang Speaks. It's like Christmas Eve, and instead of Christmas presents, it's a new government.
It is like, I will say this, like, just a moment of reflection. Like, if Donald Trump hadn't won in 2016, you wouldn't have run for president, right?
True.
So this is like a culmination day, where, rubber meets the road, whatever analogy you want. Like, that's kind of, there's no way around it. It's important,
I believe that Donald Trump is going to lose and lose significantly. But let's take the first part of this conversation to explore the fork in the road where he wins. And then there's the middle ground where he doesn't win, but the process is just such a disaster that the count drags on and there's unrest and he refuses to acknowledge. And the Supreme Court comes up with a new ruling that says that President Trump can do whatever he wants. I shouldn't laugh, but this is like the middle zone of muddiness that prevents us from having a clean winner, not just election night, but days and weeks thereafter. So let's consider each scenario in turn. Scenario number one, Donald Trump wins clean, as in just wins more votes and then you have, with each tributary, it's like quick and then slow. I don't think there's a version where Donald Trump wins slow. Is there? Let's see. Let's review. So there are 3 states that are going to count votes more slowly. And those 3 states are the states that you don't want them to be. They are Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. So you can imagine.
Hang on one sec. Let me do this for anybody who is listening who doesn't follow politics, doesn't know what the fuck's going on. Like, there's like I want to play dumb because I used to be really dumb on this. So just for context, real quick, there's so much noise out there. Andrew and I hopefully break this down for you. There's 538 total electoral college votes. You need 270 votes to win. And essentially, a lot of them are already baked. So there's really like 201 votes up for grabs, because 331 of them or so are already locked. So with that context, Andrew, take away. I meant to interrupt you, but only because if there's
the path is 270. Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
I was assuming that folks know that Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin are swing states or battleground states. And so those 3 states not having their votes in on election night will likely present a problem. Like, it's not a situation where you can pencil them in as blue or red. Mm-hmm. So if we're going to get a quick result on election night, it's going to not involve those 3 states.
Right.
It's very hard for me to imagine a scenario where Pennsylvania in particular is just so clearly for one candidate that they call it, despite the fact that a lot of votes haven't been counted. I don't see them calling Pennsylvania or Michigan or Wisconsin for that matter. Mm-hmm. There was one poll that came out that had Joe Biden up by 17 in Wisconsin.
Right? Yeah.
So it's conceivable that Wisconsin just goes so much for Joe that even with the mail-in vote not entirely counted, that people are comfortable calling it. Still something that I see as unlikely. So election night scenarios, you have to contemplate them without knowing any of those three states' results. Joe has an advantage in paths to 270. He has a lot more paths to get there. Trump needs to essentially win every state that he needs to win to get to 270. 270 is close to his ceiling. There's a world where Joe Biden's ceiling is 350, where he just wins
high
by a mile. So the main scenario for Joe to become the clear winner Tuesday night is if some of the big battleground states that are not those three go to him. So let's say Florida and North Carolina. If Florida and North Carolina go to Joe, then he might be able to get to 270 even without any of the three slower states.
So you've got... So there's a cool website if you guys want to mess around with, because I have been. It's 270towin.com, 270towin.com. And you can just make your own map. So for me, I like to... You can listen to pundits, you listen to us, but it's nice to kind of your own... For me, it was look at my own math, what would happen, what states I'm watching personally. There's 7 states I think that really matter. You just said a bunch of them, but it's Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Florida, North Carolina, Arizona. That's what you're looking at. And essentially, Biden wins 3 of those, it's over. And if he wins Florida, it's pretty much over, all in, right? If he wins just Florida, by the numbers, that won't happen. He'll probably win one of the others. But if he wins Florida, it's probably pretty much close to over. Trump needs 5. So that's where the Biden is favored, is because of basically that math. These are all toss-ups, leaning Joe in many cases. So I think the likely path, and I want to know you agree with, if you had to guess, the likely path if either of them win, the likely path for Joe to win is that he takes Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and probably Pennsylvania, because in all of those he's favored. He's got an 85 to 94% chance of winning all 4 of those, individually. And then Trump, if he wins, he basically has to win Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, which he's winning in, and then he'd have to take Pennsylvania, and then one of whatever's next. Either you could probably throw
exactly.
in there.
So if Florida and North Carolina go to Joe, it's pretty much all she wrote.
That's the election night key.
If that comes in election night, then we go to sleep knowing that Joe's going to be president, and the transition occurs hopefully pretty straightforwardly. Where if it's that clean, it's going to be very hard for Donald Trump not to concede. I know that some people in the Biden campaign are actually strategizing around trying to get a quick knockout by investing more heavily in Florida and North Carolina, though right. They had me campaign in Pennsylvania, so they're leaving nothing to chance. They're not. Right. They don't seem to be over emphasizing the timing of the thing. They just want to win, which is the right approach. Right. You just got to win. We are in month 8 of the quarantine. It's getting harder and harder to stay fit, to feed yourself right. I don't know about the rest of you, but if you started out eating healthy, you might not be eating healthy now. But we have found the product that's going to help turn it around for you. It's going to make you feel like $1 million. Going to get some green into your system. It even has green in the name. It's Athletic Greens. You mix it with water. You take it, and it's like this high-tech yet super healthy and organic nutritional supplement. It's got a probiotic for gut health. It boosts your immune system. It helps you digest. It's got 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients. It's almost like a nutrition super shot in the form of a quick drink.
Andrew, I think you joked once that anyone that loses weight or gets in shape during COVID should be running the country. So if you want to be one of the people Andrew Yang thinks should be running the country, Athletic Greens is probably the way to go, because this puts you in shape. And even if you're not working out, your body feels at ease. I just felt my stomach be more balanced. Yang, I find that I don't chew my food fast enough. It's a bit of a problem. And this helps. So if you're looking to upgrade your multivitamin or take one nutritional formula that's going to help you cover your daily nutritional bases, then you want to consider Athletic Greens. Athletic Greens makes getting as much high-quality nutrition as possible incredibly easy without the need to buy multiple products. So So make an investment in your health today and try the ultimate all-in-one wellness bundle and support your immunity, gut health, and energy. Holy crap, your energy. Trust me on this one. By visiting athleticgreens.com/yang. You'll receive up to a year's supply of liquid vitamin D for free, which I love as like an energy drop into your drink with your first purchase. So that's again, athleticgreens.com/yang. So you've got Florida, according to 538, which I think is they were the closest, essentially, at least in public press outlets, because they aggregate all the polls and just do an algorithm. They're the closest to predicting 2016. They said Hillary had a 71% chance of winning, where the rest of the press said it was well into the high 90s. They are saying that Biden has a 62% chance of winning Florida and 64% chance of winning North Carolina. Those are toss-ups. Those are, it's roll the die. It's going to come down to turnout and possibly some, shenanigans with mail-in voting or COVID voting, if you will. But that's where you agree. I mean, like they're saying, that's where we focus. And if Biden wins one of those, it's great. Florida in particular, Biden's going to have a good night. We agree?
Yeah. So that's where you should be investing and paying attention, certainly on election night. And you should not hold your breath waiting for Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, or Michigan, and don't worry about it. Like the fact that those aren't going to be reported doesn't tell you that Joe's going to win or not win.
Right. If Biden loses those, it's not over either. Sorry, to be clear. Like if Biden loses North Carolina, Florida, he's still got plenty of paths to victory. Sorry.
Yeah, and that is a possibility. Historically, North Carolina has been tougher terrain for Democrats, and Florida too, slightly. I am very confident that Joe's going to win this thing. I'm not sure if it's going to be Tuesday night reporting style, but I'm very confident that he's going to win this thing if votes are counted and the process holds up. Let's consider again each of them in turn. There are a number of variables, though some of the variables extend beyond election night. So I guess we'll just focus on election night. So you're right to look at the map. As the election returns come in, definitely it's going to be very exciting. But if these states start getting called for Joe, then that's enormous, and there is a real chance that there's a blue wave all around the country. I genuinely think that in a time when 72 to 80% of Americans think this is the worst time in their lifetimes, that's not like an incumbent type atmosphere, especially when this incumbent does not seem like the guy who's going to lead you out.
Right.
So I think there's going to be a blue wave. I think the Democratic majority in the House is going to grow. The Senate's going to flip. There's going to be a unified government. That's the way I think this is going to go. And
I love your confidence.
Election night is about the presidential race first and foremost. But now that I have been endorsing all of these down ballot candidates, some of whom are hardcore Yang Gang, some of whom are for cash relief. There's virtually no one on the list that's not one of those two things. Like if you're really, I mean, if we endorsed you, you're generally for cash relief.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be very, very intent on seeing what happens to a lot of these candidates, particularly a lot of the challengers to incumbents. Beating an incumbent member of Congress is so hard under ordinary circumstances. It's one reason why you notice anytime it does happen, because it just never happens. But I think if there's going to be a time for it to happen, it's going to be this time. So for context, the historical re-election rate for an incumbent member of Congress is 94%. That's sky high. That's better than the Golden State Warriors in their record year kind of high.
Wow. Good analogy.
But so if this time it's going to be lower though, because you have a lot of incumbents who are vulnerable or in a contested race, and you're seeing record levels of turnout. As we're having this conversation, 75 million Americans have voted already, and by the time people are hearing this on Monday, it's going to be a significantly larger number, and then everyone's going to turn out on Tuesday. So I saw projections that said that this might be the highest turnout in 60 years because of mail-in voting and early voting. I think we should keep mail-in voting and early voting. I think it works better. Who
Agreed.
wants to just have everything be banking on everyone showing up at the same time
If it
on
rains,
one day?
if
Why not
there's
just
traffic,
let us mail it in?
Can throw everything off. Yeah, agreed.
So you have to
It's like
imagine.
a 4-hour wait in New York, man. Right, so there's a lot of people.
I'm so glad I mailed that in.
Yeah.
So you have to imagine an incredibly high turnout environment, and that's generally going to help Dems. So the size and enormity of the blue wave, and whether it crashes down in places like Texas and Alaska and South Carolina, Georgia, so interesting to me. This really could redefine the American political landscape for a long time. I mean, if Texas goes blue,
well, then it's over. Yeah, if you see Texas go, it's over.
Oh yeah, that would be incredible. I don't necessarily expect that. Sorry, Beto. I expect it to be very, very tight, but I doubt it's going to get called for Joe Tuesday night. But if it were to, yeah, it's over. I'll just call it. Never could call it. One of the things that's going to keep you mentally balanced during this time is to keep learning new things. And Skillshare is a fantastic way that you can learn among thousands of other people, among thousands of different classes and offerings. They've got everything under the sun, from the golden oldies of Photoshop and Adobe software to something much more crazy like, I don't know what.
Well, I'm legitimately actually taking one of these courses on iPhone photography, because on the campaign I was so bad, and John, our digital expert on the campaign and now producer of the podcast, taught me some tricks. But you can do wonders with that freaking phone, particularly some of the new ones. So that's my favorite class. It's called iPhone Photography. I want to make sure I get this right. How to shoot and edit conceptual photos on your phone, taught by the Adobe creative resident, one of their creative residents at Adobe. So you can get, whether it's like a fun, cool hobby you always want to pick up, or some like really practical like finance or software stuff you need for your day-to-day, like QuickBooks or whatever it is. You can get a whole bunch of fancy, creative, interesting stuff on Skillshare.
Yeah, Skillshare is the hub for this stuff. They've got a community of hundreds of thousands, even millions of people enjoying the 21st century way to learn. So if you want to explore your creativity, go to Skillshare.com/YangSpeaks, and the first 1,000 people to use our link will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership. Receive free access to thousands of classes for a limited time. Be one of the first 1,000 to sign up at Skillshare.com/YangSpeaks. Wow, that's a great deal.
So let me ask you this: like, what's going to happen is you're going to start having, you're going to have these states I mentioned start reporting some results, because they're going to be counting. And I think turnout models are going to be all over the map, right? So people are going to be afraid. To your point, I think you have turnout like we've never seen before from people of all, and on both sides. Yeah, I think Dems maybe net benefit, but Republicans get a lot of turnout too. If you start to see, like, I kind of want your perspective on how to help our listeners watch the results come in on election night. When they start to see Wisconsin numbers come in, when you know they're going to take a couple days to tally everything, like, let's say it's 25% of results are in and they start announcing. Do you feel comfortable with that? Does that mean nothing because it's going to flip on the next 75?
So this is why it gets very frustrating, Zach. It just depends upon where the 25% is from. If it's 25% from an urban area in Wisconsin, then you'd expect it to skew very heavily Democratic, and then you take it with a massive grain of salt. If somehow they were to say to you, this 25% is a representative cross-section of the whole state, then statistically you could say, all right, I guess we know what's happening.
Right.
That's one reason why they keep digging into which counties it's from, because if you're an experienced political journalist, you know which direction a county's supposed to go.
Right.
The thing I look for is results that surprise the journalist involved, where there's someplace and they were like, well, I remember during the weekend after Super Tuesday where they were digging into what was happening in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and they were like, if Bernie doesn't win this county by like 1 million votes or whatever, then it's going to be a really rough night. So it's that kind of thing where if they can find an anomaly, then that's a sign. But the raw vote totals, it's hard to tell because you don't know what counties they're coming from.
Have you been following? I think there's this like innate fear that the president will tweet out that he's won a certain state or won the election before any of the networks have called or all the votes are in. And normally that's not as big of a problem because normally like the lagging votes are, they're a small number or on par with the way the state was trending. But in this case, they could be way off, right? Like if most of the Democrats mailed their votes in and they haven't been counted, like there's a lot of room for error there. Any thoughts on either how like your Twitters or Facebooks handle that, or how we as Americans should handle, president or anyone's early call?
The social media companies have said that they are going to clamp down on any claim of victory that's not independently verified by various national media organizations. So the AP would be one big verifier. Everyone's going to wait on the media companies to call it. And if Trump says, I won, then I think they'll probably ban it, honestly. That's what they've already come out and said. They've said that there is no independent claim of victory.
They should do that. And they should do it if Joe did the same thing. It's only fair.
That'd be pretty funny if Joe was like, I won!
I won!
Like hours early. It'd be like noon on Tuesday. Be like, I already won. We're off to the races.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we all know it's directed at Trump, this ban or edict. It also does show the power of the social media platforms. I mean, talk about it. That's wild. So I'm going to break down for a minute why I'm so confident. Because a lot of people are.
Because I'm not as confident. I'm going to probably take the other side. Here, yeah, I'm fascinated. On behalf of all of our listeners, I'm fascinated by what you're about to say.
Here at Yang Speaks, we're all about trying to make our lives better. And one thing we do a whole lot of is sleep. I remember going into the old mattress store when I was younger, and I was like, ooh, mattress. Like, so expensive. What's going on? But happily, like a lot of other things in our lives, mattresses have got an upgrade. And now, the best mattress you can get for folks who are looking for a better night's sleep is Helix Sleep. It's got a quiz. You can personalize it. You can make it your own. They send it to you in this cool space-age container. It then pops up and folds itself, unfolds itself. It walks over to your bed. It throws itself on your bed frame. It doesn't do those last two things, but it does give you a personalized night of sleep. It's the number one best overall mattress pick of 2019 and 2020 by GQ and Wired. You see how we do that there? We're always trying to get you the good stuff here at Yang Speaks. If you go to helixsleep.com/Yang and take their 2-minute sleep quiz, you'll learn something about yourself, but then they'll also match you to a customized mattress that will give you the best sleep of your life. 10-year warranty. Try it for 100 nights risk-free. So if you're insane, you could order a mattress, sleep on it for 99 nights, and say, don't like it. If you did that, they would be like, oh, those Yang Speaks people are terrible. But hey, that's their policy. Serves them right? And Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners. I love deals at helixsleep.com/Yang. That's Helix, HELIX, sleep.com/Yang for up to $200 off.
So I'm moving out of my apartment in New York, and I still had my old mattress after been sleeping on this, and I just for fun jumped on the old one and then jumped on the new one, and this thing is freaking awesome. It's a no-brainer, and we've got you a great deal. And even if you try it out for 100 nights, the risk-free, you still have a 10-year warranty if something, God forbid, ever breaks or you don't like it. So they'll pick it up for if you don't love it, make it easy for you. So helixsleep.com/Yang for up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners at Yang Speaks. That's helixsleep.com/Yang.
All right. So I know the polls had Hillary winning for the most part. Donald Trump shocked the world. There are real problems trying to suss out levels of support in some of these areas. But here are some of the things that make me totally confident. Now, number one, the polls have been pretty consistent and I'm just going to oversimplify for a second, but the polls have Joe at, let's call it +7 nationally, +8 nationally, and then you think, well, nationally doesn't matter. So if you start trying to adjust it for the Electoral College, for the swing states and the rest of it, you have something like a 3-point built-in electoral advantage for Trump. So if Joe Biden were up 3, then it'd be essentially tied if that's the way the votes netted out.
Because he's the incumbent? Is that what you mean? Or what do you mean?
You have to... that there's a natural advantage for Republicans right now because their popular votes correspond to a slightly higher number of electoral votes.
Okay, because of how the Electoral College works. And
just because of the way the Electoral College is structured. So if you look at it you can see that they have something like a 3-point built-in advantage. Some people are very mad about this when I say this out loud, but I mean, that's the math. What are you going to do?
Numbers and numbers, yeah.
The numbers are the numbers. So, but 3 is not 8. So if Joe's up by 7 or 8, and then you've got like a 3-point cushion the other direction, Joe's still up 4 or 5. One of the things that really held Hillary back last time is that people did not like her. And I talked to a lot of voters even in 2016, even though I wasn't even in politics. Like I heard from folks in Michigan that were just so anti-Hillary. A lot of people just did not like Hillary. Joe does not generate that kind of hostility or animosity. There's just not this huge wellspring of anger and venom and the sense that he's morally askew or something like that. And I'm not saying this stuff was fair to Hillary, but there was definitely a lot of this out there.
It still existed, yeah.
Yeah. So you take that off the board. Then you take the fact that last time people voted for Trump, there was something of an unknown as to how he would govern, and now everyone knows. Like now there's like no ambiguity. I talked to thousands of Trump supporters on the trail who said, I'm not sure this is what I want to re-up for. Like they were disappointed then. I have a feeling they're more disappointed now. So if you can imagine Trump losing 10-12% of the folks that voted for him last time because they didn't get what they thought they were going to get, which I think is realistic, then you start getting a more complete picture of Trump having like this very, very low ceiling. It's one reason why everyone's saying it's like, well, he could pull it off if he gets this narrow track of states. But you're seeing his overall approval rating has been way below 50% forever. He hasn't even sniffed it. It's just going to be very, very hard, even with some of the map advantages he has, to get to a point where he's going to win. The momentum's not on his side. If anything, the momentum steered the other way. Joe has a massive cash advantage, which is going to help at the margins. They've been getting economies of scale on national advertising that Trump has not. I happened to watch some Florida-based TV the other day.
Because of ExpressVPN? I've been getting Florida ads because of ExpressVPN.
Yeah, and
soft
it was nonstop. It was nonstop political ads. There were some Trump Super PAC ads in there, but there was a whole lot of Joe, and that was on some major programs too. I think I was watching it because of an NFL game or something like that. Like it was expensive advertising, and Joe was all over it. And it's not just that program. Joe's everywhere. They've got $180 million more to spend on ads or whatnot, and all of that money is just going straight into the airwaves.
TV, yeah.
So is that everything? No, but is it nothing? No, I mean, like, so when you start building this picture, you settle on the fact that this time Trump's going to lose. He's not going to pull this thing out. And this is as someone who very much respects the fact that companies get it wrong, data's not people, like there are some unknowables. But I've talked to thousands of voters, and it's consistent. I talked to a friend the other day whose stepmom is an 80-year-old in Missouri who voted for Trump, and she's like, not this time. Like, there are just a lot of not this time, not agains out there.
Right. So I think there's an argument like he probably didn't grow his base too much more given coronavirus or the past 4 years that we're all exhausted of. So I definitely see that. And Lord, I hope you're right. I want to play devil's advocate, but before I do that, I want to ask a question I think is really important. Is when you ran, Andrew, we talked a lot about Donald is a symptom. We need to cure the disease. And the states, Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, are some of the states hit hardest by automation manufacturing. And you also had said, look, either I'm going to win this thing or the winner is going to sound like me. Do you think the Biden campaign has done a good enough job, like getting to those types of voters and talking about either this or a different vision for the country, or has that not mattered as much in the public zeitgeist, if you will, because of coronavirus? What are your thoughts on like your core message still being applied on election day?
I don't think Joe has needed to go down this road.
Yeah.
And I think that the real challenge, if Andrew Yang is correct, and also our processes hold up, not a given, and that votes are counted and there's an orderly transfer of power, and Joe gets sworn in January 21st, really to me, then the work begins. You need to work to win this election. I'm working very hard to try and grow the number of members of Congress that are for cash relief, and so we're working. But then the real work begins after you're in power, whether you actually make enough big changes so that the problems that got Trump elected don't just fester and grow. And there's been a consistent narrative from a number of people that I find very, very interesting, and we're going to find out one way or another. And here's the narrative. You all heard it, I think. That Trump, for all of his problems, is not as competent a fascist as you can imagine, arising from a truly disintegrating civilization, where if we don't solve the problems that got Trump elected, something else comes out of the same set of ideas and impulses and people, and that person could be worse than Trump. That person could be competent and malignant as well as narcissistic. That person could really put much more design into some of the darker tendencies that Trump represented, whereas Trump was kind of bull in the china shop. Like that was his vibe and approach. And I think that's one concern that I find, by the way, totally legitimate. Nature abhors a vacuum and the rest of it. Does the post-presidency Trump remain Trump? Are there other versions that kind of spin out in various ways? There's this massive level of energy around some of these ideas and conspiracy theories and impulses, from the fact that QAnon has become an actual political movement despite just starting out as internet conspiracy theories. That's pretty wild. So the challenges are going to begin almost after election day and you're sworn in. The thing that Philip Howard said really stuck with me. He said the parties have been playing you lose, I lose, you lose, I lose all the time, while we have been losing ourselves, or the people have been losing. And the temptation for Joe and the Dems is going to be, we won, we beat Trump, everything's back to normal, we can just do our thing, and because we're sane and rational and well-intended, all should be well, and you should believe in us. And a lot of Americans don't believe because they just don't think that our government is working for them and actually solving the problems they see around them. The fact that we don't have a stimulus relief bill, by the way, is exhibit 378 in their list of why I don't believe in government. It's an Congress, awfully big exhibit. It's a bigger exhibit than some of the others. So the challenge is going to be manifold, but it's strengthening the connection between government and the reality on the ground for many Americans. If we don't build up that connection, we don't build up the trust, the mistrust is just going to grow. The institutional deterioration is just going to grow. And the danger is that we become increasingly ungovernable and unable to solve meaningful problems over time. I think this is the real danger. I think we're going to win this election. And then the question is whether we go big enough and whether we rebuild in a way that's robust enough.
And I know this, if and let's say when we win, there are people like you, people like AOC, people like a lot of the candidates we've endorsed that will not let this administration, and we'll be allies to them as much as we can, but we'll not let them be complacent as if things are normal. Like, you are step one on a long road to recovery is kind of what you're saying, you being the Biden administration, and a good step one.
Every day, you're seeing a news story about how our personal privacy is being invaded. And it's not just the social media sites watching our every move. It's that device in the home. It's the smart speaker. It's your smart TV. Everything's smart, which means everything has ears. If companies that pay next to nothing in taxes are going to track what you do online, shouldn't you get compensated for a little bit of that? And since we're still fighting for that, you can do the next best thing and protect yourself with a service that I trust and use to keep my information safe, ExpressVPN. It encrypts your internet data, hides your IP address so that even your ISP your provider can't track you. You can download it. It's very easy. It's like one button and then poof, you're in the internet someplace else. If you have ExpressVPN, you're joining folks in using the #1 VPN by Wired, CNET, The Verge. It's less than $7 a month, and if you don't like it, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, and there's a deal for our listeners. Protect your online privacy today with ExpressVPN, and because you're tuning in to this show, you can get 3 months of ExpressVPN protection for free when you visit expressvpn.com/yang. That's expressvpn.com/yang for 3 months free with a 1-year package. expressvpn.com/yang.
Here's what I think, Andrew. I'd like to do this. For those of you listening who maybe disagree with Andrew or like terrified, this is where I'm going to play the devil's advocate race. Like, how does Trump win? Because I actually think, I think it's either one of two scenarios. This is my gut. It's either this election was over in March, and Biden rolls. Biden just frickin' rolls. Like, Texas is close. He wins Georgia. He wins some like states. Like, how the hell did Democrat win that? Like, and just landslide. And I think that's most likely. And boy, God, I'm literally going to be praying on my knees for that outcome because we need that. We need to get the country right. The other outcome to me is that, similar to 2016, the polls are wrong, and I think they're wrong because either the turnout model is wrong or there's a lot of people that don't want to admit they're voting for Trump. And if that is
the shy Trump voter, good old shy Trump voter,
and I know they exist. The question is the number that exists, and it's tough to tell. And if that's the case, I think a Trump victory looks like this. It's an inside straight again. He wins Florida, Ohio, North Carolina. You throw in, I think he wins Iowa. I think we're overreaching there. And then the one where the polls are just dead wrong, just like they were in 2016, is Pennsylvania. And Biden's up, I think, I can look this up real quick. He's up in Pennsylvania somewhere. The polls range right now between Biden +8 to Trump +3. And it's leaning more Biden +8. But if the polls are wrong and Trump squeaks that out, he now just needs a couple more. Yeah, I think he's at like 269 or 270 there, right there with those states. He needs either Arizona, New Hampshire, Nebraska District 2, whatever it is, or Maine District 2. They've got a couple states that split their electoral votes. And to me, where I think this could lean is because on these tight bullshit, like voting counting issues or stuff, advantage incumbent. So that to me is how Trump sneaks this out. And so that's my call. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm terrified.
Wait, that's your call, as in that's what you believe will happen?
I'm predicting Trump wins it. That's the lane, man. I think he does it. I think we have bullshit, man.
Wow, Zach. Wow,
I hate it, and I mean this
bold.
sincerely. Been helping, but I hope if you're listening to this, like you're scared like I am. Like, I'm going to watch this election in Florida, and Monday, Tuesday, I'll be out there trying to bring random strangers to go vote, knock on neighbors' doors, whatever I can.
I think this is a tremendous note for everyone because despite Andrew Yang's confidence, I have the capacity to be confident and also run through the tape and work hard. But if you're not that type, you should run through the
should
tape
not be
because Zach
confident.
scared because Zach just scared the confidence out of you. So we definitely need to work, and until the polls close on Tuesday, every vote matters, especially in the swing states. So that's a scenario you've traced, Zach, that requires a lot to go right for Trump, but it's plausible.
That's not that. If you look at it, it's not that far fetched. That's what scared me, because it's like I think he wins Florida and Ohio and North Carolina, so then it's Pennsylvania needs to flop, and then one other, like holy shit, he won Nevada, that's how you say it, like, or whatever it is, or Michigan was off, like.
Yeah, he needs to win. He needs to win a PA or something along those lines. It's one reason why I've been campaigning in PA. I mean, the Biden campaign knows that PA is key.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania and Florida, those feel like the giant boulders. Like if they both drop to Trump, then the scenario you just outlined is very realistic.
And it's one of those things that's crazy. Like if one of these states is off, like the likelihood of other ones being really off gets higher, right? That's where it's kind of.
Well, this is what happened in 2016. Yeah, you looked up and you were like, "Wait, what?" Then after that,
Pennsylvania, what the hell? Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, and I think that's a wrap. Then I remember the anchors looking up, being like, "I think that does it."
I remember watching, being like, I thought a couple of these states were going to be close. I thought Wisconsin's going to be close. I thought Michigan was going to be close. But I thought we had Pennsylvania locked. I thought Florida was looking okay. And when they started dropping, man, you're like, wait, what? Now, look, there's a plenty of positive movement. If you want to like sleep better at night, look, Donald Trump had lower turnout in 2016 than Mitt Romney did in 2012. So there is, if the Dems show up, I think there could be the tidal wave. And I do think, like, half my gut tells me this election was over in March. Like, people saw the response to COVID. They're like, oh, man, wrong guy, wrong time. Like, gotta get
Or it might have been wrong after the first debate, because that was very, very negative for Trump. And then he followed it up by getting COVID. Very, very nasty few days for him. Yeah. Like, that was like a 1-2 punch. And then after that, I don't know what he could have done to reverse it.
And I think... And that's where, like, the evaluation needs to take place. Because I think, like, in 2016, like, you could argue Trump deserved to win. Like, he had a really powerful message, and he went to where the people who liked that message needed to hear it, right? This case, he does not have a very powerful message, and he's going to these places in ways that are dangerous. Like, it's a freaking pandemic right now. Like, everything's off. Like, I don't think he deserves to win this from a tactics standpoint, for what it's worth.
The story about the people being stranded at the Nebraska post rally or whatnot, nuts, I was like, man. Oh no, I feel so bad for you. It was like really cold, apparently.
For those of you who didn't see this, Donald Trump had a rally in Nebraska, and a couple hundred, like basically they shuttled him into basically an airport hangar a couple miles away, and the buses got held up or left or ignored. So basically a couple hundred supporters got stuck in the cold and the dark. Like it was just over. Which is probably more of a funny, like, make fun of Trump story than losing supporter stuff, but
this sounds like a setup for a movie or something. It sounds like a version of Fire Fest.
Or Andrew and I have written a movie, guys, and it's called Blood Caucus, and it's a murder horror movie. Takes place at the Iowa caucuses. More to come soon.
Among
I don't want to tell you too much.
Candidates for the Democratic nomination has a tagline: "Your first vote could be your last."
Could be your last.
Your work of genius.
Yes.
Genius. How did we just give away our hit screenplay, Zach? Delete.
Delete. Cut this out. But let me tell you, like the movie logo is the Iowa state flag with the eagle on it. It's like red. It's red, white, and blue with this eagle in the middle of it, and it's got like there's like blood dripping off the talons, like something sick, right? Yeah, this is a hit, man. Definitely a banger. We should design. John, our producer, we're going to draft this up, see if we can get some momentum around it. We'll crowdfund around our first, for the pilot or whatever, the rough cut. Sorry. Back to election.
I'll be in and out of CNN studios over the next number of days to peek in. It's interesting, Zach, because part of the lens we see things through is like the reaction of journalists to various things, and I have no idea how I'd react to various things.
I love it, man. You're gonna have real raw reaction. Like, I hope you give me like a WTF on air if something crazy happens, like if Texas flips, drop an F-bomb or whatever.
So I don't know. So I obviously believe Joe's gonna win, and so that's my prediction.
Yeah, I took the other side.
Though I will say,
go ahead.
I will say Zach's upside for calling Trump is much higher than mine, because if Zach is right, then everyone will be like, Zach's a genius.
That's true. This is me
2024, Big Coke Guy 2024, etc. Let's all just listen to Zach.
Or if not, you call me an idiot, right? Here's what I say. So on Wednesday this week, we're going to try and give some live reaction. So Andrew's schedule is going to be all over the place, but it'll be myself and hopefully friends from our world. So as many political experts as we can get, including, I'm sure our comms team will be involved. Carly or Eric Sanchez, our staffer, is going to try and loop him in, especially if Andrew can't join. I think he's going to be tied up. So you'll have both Yang live on CNN and Zach and the Yang Gang staff live on Yang Speaks. I think it'll be a fun way to look at the election.
So fun. Let's do it. Let's Yang Gang come together. Yang Gang gather for election
I'm into it, man.
Day and night results. One thing I would love for you to pour over, I would do it, and if I'm available, I will do it. I want to go through all the Humanity Forward candidates and what happened with their races. I now am so passionate about so many of these candidates. I'm going to be pumped when they win and very sad if they don't win, because I feel like they all deserve to win. Some of them have very tough races. But if you're listening to this and you can help in any of the Humanity Forward races, please check it out. Go to movehumanityforward.com. Who knows? It could be the person running in your district, and then you can go vote for them. But let's help them win. That's going to be, to me, a massive emotional high or low, what happens with those candidates. Because having been a candidate myself, I see what they put on the line, and if they win, some of them, if they win, that it's going to be historic, because some of them are awesome candidates and human beings, but running in districts where no one gave them a shot in the beginning, but now some of them do have a shot.
Yeah, the best thing we can do to broaden what you stand for, Andrew, is actually empowering the people we've tasked with carrying the torch. We've given our blessing who are carrying the torch. So that's Move Humanity Forward. You can actually donate to all of them. Like, if you only have $5 to donate, you can give a little fraction to all of them, which is that would be pennies, I guess. So please give more than that if you're doing that. But you can see them all, and they need, like, Joe Biden, they're good on money, I think, down the stretch here. But some of these candidates actually really good. They're good, but some of these smaller candidates really could, and $100 or whatever you can give actually would go a decent way, because they're doing a lot of Facebook ads or flyer printing and get out the vote efforts day of, and that actually carries some weight in some of these smaller towns too. So
I've donated to our candidates. It's just so fun. You can't resist. And then after you donate, there's a magical connection that is forged. Some of you have that connection with me, for which I'm eternally grateful.
Yeah, because you now get spammed via email. No, they're good. Spam. Sorry.
That makes me super sad, man.
No, we don't. I mean, look, we do spam, but it's not. It's they're thoughtful. They're hard. It's not, clickbait BS.
I think that's an oxymoron, bro. I don't think you can. I don't think this thing is thoughtful spam. I'll have to get back into that.
That's fair. That's fair. But you guys have been great. A lot of you guys open them, which I appreciate, because we do put a lot of time and thought into writing them. Andrew writes a bunch himself. We're working on one. What we want to say, on the election. So. They're real. Thank you for opening them. Sorry I derailed you on our spam.
No, not at all. Yeah. But a magical connection is built when you make a donation to a candidate. And I have had that experience myself. So if you want to root even harder for candidate election night, just make a donation, $10, $20 to them. And then all of a sudden you'll be like, that's my guy, or that's my gal, or that's my candidate. So I'd encourage you to do so. It really is magical, that connection. It's one reason why I think those organic campaigns like ours end up being so much stronger, because you feel like you own it. through your support, and like it or not, that includes financial support. There's something very direct and powerful about it.
You know what's cool, Andrew, that we actually don't talk about enough is that you interview every candidate we endorse or are about to endorse. And no offense to Barack Obama, he makes a lot of endorsements. I highly doubt he's doing that. Like, you get to know them personally, and there have been times where you're like, I don't know if this is, you're like you want to get to know them on a personal level to make sure they that frankly the Yang Gang or anyone's donating to them.
I personally interview them, and I personally donate to them if we decide to go forward. And I've definitely talked to someone and been like, I don't know if this is the way or this is the fit, because I'd feel terrible endorsing someone if I didn't have that direct experience with them, even if it is a half an hour Zoom or phone call. And you can go a long way with a half an hour Zoom or phone call and getting into someone's head and seeing what makes them tick. And now I love those candidates. I'll tell you, like, if I'd endorsed them and I hadn't had that conversation with them, would I feel as strongly as I do? Heck no.
You'd be a phony. Yeah.
But now I'm so into it. I'm so into each and every one of them. They're awesome. I don't want to name names. It's like having, but like Donna, David, Kim, Cara Eastman in Nebraska in that district we're talking about. The folks who were on Yang Speaks last week, Pam Keith, Alan Cohn, the list just goes on and on. I love them all. Shri Kulkarni, like Lula Cycli. Anyway,
they're all pretty awesome.
Do check them out at movehumanityforward.com. Let's help them win. That's going to be a roller coaster for me on election night, because I can already see some of them are going to win. I'm sure some of them are not going to win because many of them have very challenging races. But I'm going to be like, yes, oh no, yes, oh no. And then I'll be, and some of you won't know. I'll be texting them too. I'll be all like, yeah, so excited. Or like, you did great anyway. Anyway, so election night, it's going to be a huge night. Let's make it even better. Make sure and vote. You can still make a difference. You can still donate. You can still volunteer. You can still do all sorts of things. Zach's volunteering in Florida. I'm volunteering at CNN HQ.
They're paying you, man. No. But please vote, guys. We love you. We love this country. We love the humans running for office. Win, lose, or draw. If you're on, whatever team you're on, the important thing that we come together, and we hope you're here with us on this podcast to kind of talk about the results shortly after. So thank you, guys. Go vote.
Vote, even if it's not for anyone we are talking about. Just vote.
Vote.
Just vote.
Amen.
Thank you for listening in. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. If you did, please do subscribe to Yang Speaks and click on notifications so we can let you know every time we have a new episode.